Kyle Rittenhouse is found not guilty on all counts. I'm Michael George in Kenosha, Wisconsin, with the emotional reaction both inside and outside the courtroom.
Plus, as the temperatures drop, home heating costs are on the rise.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Wisconsin jury finds Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all 5 felony charges he faced. This is KOAM News at 5. Rittenhouse was charged for the deaths of 2 men and wounding of another during a night of violent protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin, back in August of 2020. Jurors ultimately had to decide whether the case against the armed out-of-state teenager boiled down to self-defense or vigilantism. Reporter Michael George has more from outside the courthouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse is back home. He's a free man. His lawyer says he wants to put all this behind him. Now the city of Kenosha is talking about how to put this behind them. The National Guard is on standby in case of unrest, but so far it hasn't been needed. There have been no reports of violence.
Kyle
Rittenhouse started to shake, cry, and then fell to the floor as the jury finished reading its verdict. Not guilty on all charges. The 18-year-old was acquitted of 5 felony charges in the shooting deaths of Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber, and for wounding a third man, Gage Grosskreutz.
He has to get on with his life the best he can. I think eventually some anonymity will come back to it.
Outside the courthouse, there are about 50 protesters, and the moment the verdict was read, there were cheers from those in the crowd who support Kyle Rittenhouse. Even some passing cars were honking their horns. But among those here who believe Rittenhouse should be convicted, there was silence. Some told us this was not the outcome they wanted, but it is one they expected.
It shows that we can be gunned down in the street and there are no consequences.
What are your thoughts on the verdict?
I'm happy. I think he's not guilty.
Many continue to debate the verdict, passionately but peacefully.
If you had to fight for your life and defend yourself, absolutely. And I would defend you in that right.
You can defend me all you want. I'll never get out if I did the same thing he did.
The shootings took place during a night of protests over police violence against black people in the summer of 2020. Rittenhouse arrived at the protest with an AR-style semi-automatic rifle and told jurors he was there to help.
I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself.
He said he killed 2 people. How do you admit it? How do you acknowledge it? And there are no consequences.
The jury had deliberated for about 3.5 days before acquitting the 18-year-old. And the parents of Anthony Huber, one of the men who was killed, said in a statement, "Today's verdict means there is no accountability for the person who murdered our son." In Kenosha, Wisconsin, Michael George, we'll send it back to you.
President Biden says he stands by what the jury in the Rittenhouse case concluded. The Rittenhouse family spokesman said outside the courthouse that Rittenhouse plans to study nursing in college. There is a chill in the air. Doug Heddy.
Yeah, kind of chilly outside for us today. Temperatures, they didn't warm up that much. Still a little bit below where we should be for this time of the year, but we are going to start to warm things up a little bit more for us tomorrow. A lot of clouds have been working through, so we have mostly cloudy skies. Very thin mid and upper level clouds, nothing underneath them, so we are going to stay dry as this weak little wave kind of shoots right on by across the northern parts of the plain. So if you are doing anything this evening, there's still some playoff high school football going on. It's going to be okay. We're right around 50, 51 degrees. The winds have kind of picked up a little bit, but they're out of the south, and that's going to help us warm up even more by the time we head into the daytime hours for us tomorrow. Through the evening hours, we'll slide back through the 40s, not near as cold tonight. We'll only drop back into lower 40s for overnight lows. Of course, we're going to look at the weekend and into next week, the holiday coming up here in just a bit.
Catch you then. As the temperatures drop, home furnaces are kicking on. That can come with a cost as energy prices rise across the region. The general manager at Carthage Water and Electric urges people to be extra careful and try to conserve energy where they can.
I think people should expect to do what they can to conserve electricity and to conserve the heat in their homes. But a lot of folks out there will see an increased cost in power because of the gas shortages that you're seeing right now throughout this market.
We're going to hear some ways to conserve energy while staying warm this winter tonight at 6. The U.S. House today approved the Democrats' Build Back Better bill along party lines. The roughly $1.75 trillion plan includes funding for universal pre-K, child care, climate provisions, housing, health care, and paid leave. But with no Republican support, the bill faces a stiffer challenge in the Senate, where moderates, including West Virginia's Joe Manchin, are concerned it would add to the deficit. President Biden today had his annual routine physical. The exam came with some historical significance because while the president was under anesthesia for a routine procedure, Vice President Kamala Harris temporarily became the first woman in the history of our nation to hold presidential powers. The number of forest elephants in Africa has shrunk by 80% in the past 4 decades. The Central African country of Gabon is the last stronghold of the critically endangered animals, but counting the big beasts can be challenging. Well, now a new study by the National Parks of Gabon and American wildlife conservationists shows about 60,000 live in Gabon, an increase of 50% since the 1990s. Conservationists say governments need to invest more to save their homes and their lives. Still ahead, a preview of the vehicles that are just down the road.
This electric car can go more than 500 miles on a single charge. I'm Anthony Purra at the LA Auto Show with a look at the latest vehicles running on e-power.
And next in Health Watch, an update on the status of COVID-19 vaccine booster shots. Topping today's Health Watch, all American adults will soon be able to get a third COVID-19 vaccine dose after both the FDA and CDC panel of outside experts endorsed the move. The CDC director must give the final green light, though some cities and states have already expanded eligibility. Reporter Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
Just hours after the Food and Drug Administration expanded the Moderna and Pfizer booster shot eligibility to all adults, an outside CDC advisory panel also gave the green light.
We have 11 yeses and 0 no's.
The CDC must still sign off. The move would allow those 18 and older who've received the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine to mix and match shots from manufacturers, 6 months after their initial 2 vaccines. Health experts are warning of an uptick in infections going into the holiday season. Several cities and states, including California, have already expanded booster eligibility.
It seems like we're going into a surge right now, so really wanting to have that additional protection for our whole family.
Johnson & Johnson vaccine recipients over 18 have already been authorized to mix and match booster shots 2 months after their initial dose. President Biden says the U.S. already has enough booster vaccine doses available for the expected uptick in demand, and the rollout could come just in time for Thanksgiving.
If you're one of the approximately 100 million people in this country already eligible for a booster, our recommendation is that you get the extra protection afforded by a booster as soon as possible.
Friday, Philadelphia expanded its COVID vaccine mandate to all city employees and contractors, including those who are union members, unless they're granted an exemption. The deadline for those employees is January 14th. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The CDC says the average pace of Americans getting their first dose of the vaccine is at its highest since August. A third of those shots went to children ages 5 to 11 who became eligible earlier this month. A study confirms that mask wearing, hand washing, and social distancing do appear to be some of the most effective ways to prevent catching COVID-19 and also preventing spreading the disease. Researchers analyzed results from more than 30 studies from around the world, finding mask wearing reduced the risk of catching COVID-19 by 53%. They also found physical distancing reduced the transmission and spread by about 25%. Medical experts who served on the Obama administration say the U.S. must establish a nonpartisan commission on COVID-19. They say the group is needed to examine how the nation tackled the coronavirus and recommend steps to address future pandemics. Scientists at Scripps Research in Florida say they've identified a key receptor in the brain linked to depression and chronic stress. They hope the breakthrough will lead to new therapies to treat mood disorders and anxiety. And a new study in the journal Science suggests a plant-based diet rich in dark green leafy vegetables may help people suffering from chronic migraines. The recommendation comes after the diet stopped migraines from occurring in a male patient after just 3 months. The diet also reduced migraine frequency for a number of other patients. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, some area high school students are inducted into a job preparedness program.
Plus, it's going to actually warm up a little bit as we head into the weekend. We're going to take a look at that coming up. Well, it's Friday, and every Friday is Good Friday, even though it was a little bit chilly for us today. Cold start across the region. We had the clouds during the afternoon, but overall, it's turned out to be a pretty good day. All right, down the road, of course, we're entering the holidays next week. In just under 2 weeks, December 2nd, we're going to do the winter forecast. And looking long range, I see something kind of interesting on the 23rd, 24th of a possible snowstorm, which would be interesting. But we're going to break all this down on December 2nd. The weekend looks pretty good. Rain's going to roll in by the time the holiday rolls around next week. Temperatures right now, most of us are sitting 50, 51, 52 degrees. Overall, it's okay. We're not going to get near as cold as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Southerly winds are going to actually keep our temperatures up just a bit. We have these south winds at about 10 to 20. Anytime you get winds out of the south, it usually warms you up. Anytime you get them out of the north, it usually cools you down. But we've had some gusts out there kind of in that 20 to 25 mile per hour range. But look at this, great sunset. Right now we're looking almost west from 7th and Range Line. Sitting at 51, southerly winds 10 to 15. Humidity is bone dry at about 28%. Through the evening hours, slide back through the 40s. That's it. We hold into the lower 40s during the overnight hours. A lot of clouds, nothing underneath them. We're going to stay dry. These will continue to push through during the overnight hours tonight, and we'll get a little bit more sunshine for us tomorrow. Besides that, not a whole bunch going on, just a couple weak little waves. Northern parts of the Rockies, northern parts of the plains. We'll get a little weak wave in here tomorrow night that could give us a few random showers, but overall it's pretty quiet through the weekend. Let's go through time. We clear out a little bit late tonight, and then again tomorrow it's going to be partly to mostly cloudy skies. We'll start into lower 40s. We're going to warm up nicely. I think most of us go into lower 60s during the afternoon. 42 to start, 57 by noon, high temp is 61. We'll have these south winds at about 5 to 15 throughout most of the day. Tomorrow night, our next weak little wave rotates in, so we could see a few showers, mainly on the Missouri side, into Sunday morning, and then by the time the sun comes up on Sunday, these are going to rotate out. We'll get northerly winds, still not a bad day. If you're heading north, the Chiefs play at 3:25, Arrowhead Stadium against the Cowboys. Looks like it's going to be into lower 50s, so just about perfect football weather. Then we cool down Sunday night into Monday morning. We turn quite a bit cooler, and Monday is going to be a cooler day. We'll be only into the upper 40s to near 50 degrees. By Tuesday, we start to warm things back up. By Wednesday, even warmer, maybe a few showers, but our next system really rotates in. By the time we head into Thanksgiving, chances for rain starting to cool back down on Thursday into Friday. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that as we go through next week. All right, 61 tomorrow, 57 Sunday, some morning showers, 50 on Monday, 58 Tuesday, rain chances right back in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and cooling down. So the holiday is not going to be too bad to stay inside, watch some football, and I don't know, eat some turkey.
Ah, there's a plan. I might write that down.
Yeah, might as well do it.
Thanks, Doug. Hey, some McDonald County High School students today were inducted into JAG. That stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. It's a program designed to make sure students are ready for their next steps after high school, whether that's college, military service, or entering the workforce. Today, the school hosted an initiation and induction ceremony to swear in all of the new members.
They're able to know and understand how important that this is, and that they'll be able to be a good example and to show that the JAG program is like a really big thing and that it stands for a lot.
Nationally, JAG serves more than 76,000 students in 39 states. Coming up, OSHA suspends a vaccine mandate for large employers. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Jania Vega served in the U.S. Army in 2003 and 2004. The Joplin native was stationed in Iraq, and we salute Specialist Jania Vega, a four-state hero. You can learn about lots of other heroes from all across this area. You can also submit a hero of your own anytime you like. You just go to our website, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration says it's suspending its enforcement of the Biden administration's new rules, ordering large employers to require vaccines or undergo weekly COVID testing. Comes after an appeals court ordered OSHA to stop pushing the new rules until there's more direction from the courts. Disney Cruise Lines is out with new guidelines to try to protect guests from COVID-19. The company will require everyone ages 5 and older to be fully vaccinated against the virus before setting sail early next year. Passengers who aren't eligible to get a shot must provide proof of a negative COVID test taken between 3 days and 24 hours before their trip. The new rule takes effect on January 13th. The popularity of plug-in electric cars is accelerating. Reporter Anthony Pura takes a look at some of the latest models.
At the Los Angeles Auto Show, e-power is taking center stage. Today's electric cars, like the new Lucid Air, offer modern luxury, the latest tech, and travel long distances on a single charge.
520 miles of range is, the closest thing is like 400. So this is like off the charts.
Ed Lowe is with Motor Trend, which recently named the Lucid Air its 2022 Car of the Year.
It has an astonishing amount of horsepower, so it can get up to 1,111 horsepower. Things like 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds.
From new cars like Lucid to well-known brands, the auto industry is embracing battery power. There's now an electric Mustang, Ford pickup truck, and the president recently took a spin in GM's new Hummer. Most electric vehicles need to be plugged into a charging station to get powered up, but this new truck also captures the power of the sun. The solar panels on the Edison Future EF1T can augment battery power, adding about 30 miles after 8 hours in the sun.
It's going to be something which is going to be giving that extra range for customers on a daily basis.
Electric vehicles only account for about 2% of total U.S. auto sales, but that is changing.
It's inevitable that we're going to move to electrification.
There are a slew of startup companies introducing new vehicles, and many of the world's biggest automakers are promising to give up gas engines and accelerate the move to green power. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Here's some good news for drivers heading on the road over the Thanksgiving holiday. Crude oil is taking a dive, hitting a 6-week low with oil prices dropping 10%. According to AAA, the national average is leveling off at $3.41 a gallon. Nearly a dozen states have kicked off an investigation into the parent company of Instagram. The bipartisan group of state attorneys general want to know if Meta broke consumer protection laws and put young people at risk by courting kids to its platforms. Instagram's parent company pushed back, claiming the allegations are false. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman has the story of a 9-year-old boy whose heartfelt wedding speech teaches us all a lesson about family. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on rising home heating prices ahead of winter. Plus, a verdict is reached in a Cherokee County attempted murder case, and a Kansas couple's goal to run a marathon in all 50 states. Stay with us, CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. The world's richest dog is selling his Miami, Florida mansion that was once owned by Madonna, selling it for nearly $32 million. The German Shepherd named Gunther VI inherited his fortune and the waterfront estate from his grandfather, the pet of a wealthy German countess. The lavish pad has 9 bedrooms and 8.5 bathrooms. I think I would start offering him, some kibble, bone, throw in a ball, and then see where that gets you.
Yeah, I mean, he could spread the wealth a little bit.
Yeah, $32 million to buy a lot of dog food.
Oh yeah, definitely would.
Weather, it's cold, Doug.
It is, but thankfully not as cold for us tonight compared to what we saw this morning. Tomorrow looks pretty good. We're gonna have a lot of clouds, 61, 57 on Sunday, a few morning showers, and then warming back into the 60s by the middle of next week.
Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.